Hey, it's Adam. You're watching Yangaroo DMDS TV. We're at the Gibson Guitar Showroom in Toronto, and we're lucky enough to have my main man JT.
What's up, dude?
From the Julian Taylor Band here, and we're gonna sit down and chat a little bit.
To the world.
And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a Justin Bieber guitar in the background, so you know this is gonna go well. Smoothly. JT's a big Bieber fan, by the way.
I am myself in the middle. I'm like, I'm sold.
Yeah. So if you were like a 14-year-old.
And I'm crushing on his girlfriend too, so.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's understandable.
Jokes.
So anyway, you know, a lot of you might remember JT from a band called Staggered Crossing that had a string of radio hits in the 2000s.
In the 2000s, we had 4 top 30 hits in the 2000s.
Uh-huh.
A couple when we were signed to Warner Brothers for our first record, one on our second, which was entitled Last Summer When We Were Famous, which I still think is a really funny title.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had one on our last record, Burgundy.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and Staggered Crossing was a band that's been around for a while.
We were around for 14 years, so actually the band started when I was 14.
Yeah.
And we were just a bunch of kids hanging out in our folks' basements, playing guitars, learning how to play instruments together. In fact, the bass player started playing sax, and then we sold it for, well, other things, and then we bought a guitar, and we just hung out and we played together and wrote songs, and I ended up being the main writer. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know if I could write or not, so that happened. And 6 years later, we got signed to Warner Music Canada, put out our debut record, toured the country, had a top 10 hit single, and then got dropped later that year because we didn't hit the expectations of sales, and I think that has a lot of to do with Napster being in the picture. It also has a lot to do with the band itself. I don't think we were ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved on, and I started Ben Payne Records, which is the indie label that is housed or carried the last 2 titles for Staggered Crossing and a few other artists as well.
Great. So you guys were like 14, 15-year-old kids in your parents' basement, jamming, learning how to play, hoping to impress some girls, I think.
Yeah,
probably.
well, absolutely. I mean, the only reason you start playing music is to meet girls and have fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's why I don't play really, because I had no problem meeting girls.
That's awesome.
Let's not just to be perfect. You gotta be worth it if you're going to last. And when the sun goes down, I know you feel worthless, but honey, it's worth it. So drive.
I had trouble in the beginning. I was 4'11" up until height-wise, until I was in my last year of high school. So I didn't get a lot of dates back then. But when I finally started playing shows and stuff, it started to work out a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard that helps.
It helps a little bit.
Yeah, it did. So for the 14, 15-year-old kids that might be watching this and in their parents' basement writing songs, learning to play, hoping to impress girls. You've made a career in music.
I have, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very fortunate, very, very lucky. I mean, there's always room to grow, and that's why I'm still doing it.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any advice for these kids? They're doing?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you are passionate about this, and this is something that you can't get out of your bloodstream, then go, and do it until you die. If it's not, then go have fun with it, and eventually life will take you another direction. So it really doesn't matter.
So that's the key, I think, is the passion. The passion's got to be there.
Either that or stupidity. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like my parents are always consistently worried about what's happening to me in my life because I am a musician. I mean, and I have a daughter to raise, and it's not easy. It's a very, very very hard struggle, but it's the most fun I've ever had. My life's been extremely interesting. I've met extremely interesting people.
Right. But it hasn't been easy. But
I don't think anybody's life is easy, but no,
No.
it hasn't been financially easy. That would be the answer to that question. And emotionally, sometimes when we got dropped from Warner, it was heartbroken. I got over it. But, yeah.
You thought that did you think it was over at that time?
I did think it was over. I was nice enough to get a phone call from, two guys that I really respected. Jim Cuddy called, and so did Colin Linden, and said, JT, it's not over until you say it. And in between all of that, I ended up working, as a bartender and I shucked oysters for a while, which are delicious. And I did a lot of odd jobs that you would have to do. I was not always a full-time musician, until the recent point when I decided that I would just start the Julian Taylor Band. And we did it, ass backwards. We ended up doing cover gigs. Continuing to do cover gigs like they did in the 60s, when Stones were coming up. But when Staggered Crossing started, it was just original songs, we didn't know any better. And so now it was like we did things backwards. And it was great to try to figure out how to read these audiences and try to figure things out, what songs work on the cover side of things, and what gets people up and dancing and interested. And that's sort of what led into the style of music that I've been doing now with the Julian Taylor Band, which is a little more R&B infused with rock and roll, reggae.
Okay, 5, 4, 3.
What's someone supposed to do this? Isn't that the way? Yeah. All right. That's what you're doing. So JTB, the Julian Taylor Band. There's a new single, hit radio.
Sweet.
It's also it might be. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
It has hit radio.
Right.
And first week it was out there, it's the #1 most streamed and downloaded indie track on DMDS. Yes. So that's got to mean something. And
Viola plays.
yeah. and personally, I dig it. I think it's a great song.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And that's true. Because I've done a couple interviews, I've never told them that I like their music.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But anyway, tell me
The truth
tell us
comes
more
out.
about the song. It's a change.
It's a
It's
definite
not a
change.
straight rock song.
You know, it's not a total. It's got rock elements in it. It's got soul elements in it, and it's got you know a bit of reggae elements, I think, and that's what the band's been doing a lot of, as well as everything that I've done in the past. So rock and roll is like my baby. That's what I love the most. But it's a combination of everything that I love and listen to, and it took a long time to get to that stage of that. So
How can people find out more about JTB? How can they hear the tune? Never Gonna Give You Up.
the tune is out on DMDS,
Yeah.
obviously. It is released on iTunes as of Tuesday, June 12th.
Uh-huh.
So after that, you can buy it online. Cool thing about the video, we met a guy named Drawing Hands who's from Eastern Europe, and he's a visual artist, and he drew the entire piece.
Yeah.
And then recorded the video in real time. So when you see the video, it's really, really interesting. And our website is juliantaylorBand.com.